Narcissists aren't as sly, slick, and clever as they appear or delusionally perceive themselves to be. In fact, they are constantly showing their hand, telling on themselves without admitting to a thing, and disclosing information about what will actually destroy them and what weapons to use that would be the most lethal against them. Because what gives narcissists their ability to continuously carry on steadfast with their bullshit really doesn't have anything to do with their truly being better, smarter, faster, or stronger. Nor is it even necessarily that they have over time mastered the science of manipulation, mirroring, and lying their faces off since they learned how to talk. No, it's more along the lines and very similar in concept to that which applies to grease fires versus an ordinary fire, as the information that our brain receives when looking at a flame is the same regardless of what type of fire that it is. Just like narcissists on the outer surface appear just like any other average person. And in both cases, it is crucial to recognize what it is that you're dealing with, as if you go about either one as you typically would, instead of resolving the problem or issue, it only makes things worse, as well as enhances the level of danger that you are now in. And once you are able to grasp how these creatures truly think and what drives their behaviors, it becomes quite clear that they are actually very oddly predictable. Because just as I explained in a previous video, there are 5 main patterns of thought that make up the way narcissists think, as well as every single thought that goes through that thick head of theirs begins and ends with keeping this fantastically abracadabrically delusional image that they have of themselves alive. And in a nutshell, what truly comes off as they're having the upper hand is that they legitimately don't give a fuck about anything except for Fantasyland. But furthermore, because it doesn't even cross over their mind to give a fuck, because they do not see you as a person or view any kind of relationship in terms of it having any kind of intrinsic value, because they're not developing empathy, intersubjective understanding, no concept of others being their own individual entity, and they're seeing everything in black and white with no middle ground, no in between, and being devoted to this delusion of grandeur and fictional sense of superiority makes it so that the only thing that matters to them is simply that. They don't base their decisions and the thoughts that drive their actions and behaviors aren't motivated by anything else except how it is going to benefit them in some way, form, or fashion. Period. Seeing themselves as the only thing of importance, they go about doing whatever it takes to keep it just that, to which includes things like picking up on social norms, being able to read people's body language, mirroring and mimicking their behaviors and mannerisms, playing the victim, coming off like they know everything about anything in a way that it would seem like their IQ would make Einstein look like an idiot. Just how to manipulate others in order to get ahead, projecting their problems and deterring the blame outwards as to avoid accountability so they can always remain in the right, perfecting their timing as to just when and where they need to don their likable human getup and when they can take it off, intentionally treating their family, partners, friends, co-workers, even their own offspring with such inhumanity and cruelty so that they can jerk their ego off and get a quick jolly by seeing you suffer, and doing so with ease because they aren't concerned with anybody or anything but seeing to it that this delusional image of themselves keeps on kicking and ruling the roost over yonder on Fantasyland Island. But it too is within this that also makes them extremely predictable, because everything always boils down to what is in it for them. And there being people of the extremes, there are only two ways that they are going to perceive, anticipate, or expect something to turn out. And once you pinpoint what these two ends of the extreme would be, and then identify what the more desirable outcome of the two extremes are, well, then you can almost guarantee that that right there is what they're aiming for. And it is also how they inadvertently end up telling on themselves as they project and blame shift any of their wrongdoings outward in efforts to not see them as the problem. But as such, anytime they start throwing outlandish accusations your way, it is nothing more than a detailed statement of the very things that they themselves are actually doing. And anytime they refuse to answer a question in your attempts to either call them out or simply just trying to make sense of why they did or said something, and they proceed to either completely ignore the question, change the subject, answer your question with another question, bring something up about your past, or try to gaslight you into believing that you don't know what you're talking about, you truly are the one that act this way, or that you're just making all this shit up in your head, then you can pretty much all but rest assured that whatever it is that you are inquiring about or wanting to learn the answer to is going to be yes. Whenever they are breadcrumbing you, do something that comes off as being helpful, kind, or give you a gift. You can guarantee that there is going to be some sort of string attached, or that this is a way that they are trying to get something from you. And whenever you give them your opinion, or you ask them to do or not to do something, you can fully expect that they are going to view it as your questioning their authority as dictator in Never Never Land. And they are going to either punish you for daring to cross them, or they are going to intentionally do the complete polar opposite of whatever you asked them to do or not to do. And really, anything and everything that they do is done in a one-way direction and will always dead end at keeping this Fantasyland character of their being, the creme de la creme of the human race, alive, which can be applied to every conversation, interaction, and reaction that you can anticipate from them, which does significantly make the way that they do respond or react not be so mind-boggling, as you now know what it is that they're up to. And hands down, does make it easier to finally accept that it is what it is, and they are who they are. But by no means does it make it remain in a relationship with them or deal with them long term, to which won't continue to deplete your overall well-being. And it definitely will not make staying with them any safer, because they truly do not have any guilt or remorse for the things that they do. They have no red light. They have no filter. And they are ruthless because they truly could not give a shit about how anyone else thinks or feels, because in their eyes, you don't have feelings. Nothing more than some objects. By radically accepting all of it and facing everything in its entirety, and that it is not your fault, your problem, or in your ability to help, fix, save, or change them. It in turn will lift this shame and guilt that they deliberately wanted you to feel, and that they're not reciprocating your love had nothing to do with your being unworthy, unlovable, or not enough, but is completely about them. Though sure, we all have qualities about ourselves that we can work on and improve upon, but they have nothing to do with why you stayed or why they initially targeted or managed to embed their claws into you. It has nothing to do with your being codependent, vulnerable, foolish, or blind, but merely because you didn't know. Just like a grease fire. If you don't know when you throw water onto a pot of burning grease, it is going to rapidly turn and expand into steam, splashing grease into the air where it combines with the oxygen, creating this fireball and making anyone around it do the fire dance, just as the narcissist does with anyone that they are around, unknowingly fueling their supply, making them more cocky, evil, and dangerous with each tactic that they pull off. And two, just like the grease fire, the only way to extinguish its flames and avoid the imminent danger is by smothering it, as too goes for a relationship with a narcissist. Because if you do not put the lid on that pot or shut that door tightly behind you, lock that shit up, toss away the key, and put in about 100 screws to securely attach the door to its frame, because otherwise they are going to keep pushing, poking, and brain fucking the life out of you. But once you are able to get some distance from them and the brain fog of confusion starts to dissipate from not being subjected to their daily unleashings of psychological warfare, you'll begin to realize that you truly can survive without them, and that life does go on, and that this too shall pass. Puts you in the driver's seat and gives you the true upper hand against these demons, because you have survived what most people can't even fucking fathom. So remember that, and remember who you are, that you are enough, and then go get back that life that these anti-human creatures selfishly tried to destroy just so that they could keep their head buried up the ass of La La Land. Fuck them, and fuck that. You are worth and deserve so much more. So fight for you. Save you. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist.